All right, everybody, this will be a warning to all politicians. I'm running for president 2024 or 111 part C. Just to go over some things with like energy and stuff, politicians and alike. Pretty much anytime you watch anybody on TV, doesn't matter who they are or what they are, you're watching a commercial for what they're trying to sell you. Period. Even if you're watching, they used to do the movies of the week. They were selling concepts about, presenting half-assed stories. They would always say, based on a true story, but pretty much there'd be just very little of it based on a true story, and then the rest was just a lot of social engineering stuff. And not that we haven't needed society, humankind. I think too much is focused, in America. Like Joe Biden made a comment about, we haven't always lived up to our ideals. Show me a country that has. Like I said before, the founding fathers, as far as I'm concerned, were visionaries and inspired. I'm not going to put them on a pedestal like, a lot of preachers do, divinely inspired, because there's a lot of things that are divinely inspired that you don't even know about. Whether it's subliminally, whether they were religious people or not religious people, we all know the Lord works in mysterious ways. So, and there's plenty of scripture, saying, he can use what he wants. Sometimes he can use the simple things to confound the wise. Sometimes he can even out of areas that are known for complete depravity and stuff, he can raise somebody up in that area, where they say, oh, nothing good will ever come out of there. Look at them people, and then he raises up somebody righteous to come out of there and stuff like that. So yes, I think America in its founding documents, not just because they mention God, but they mention the equality of man, this and that, where even though they were before Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i faith and stuff, some of those principles of men being equal, etc., and no matter their religion, their race or creed and stuff, not that it was totally unique in the world, those principles being put forth in a political manner and in the manner of the revolution and stuff and everything, because a lot of things, if they're done religiously, it's automatically balked at and rejected by the scholars of the day, this and that and everything. So God in his infinite wisdom said, hey, the time's coming for the next manifestation, the next prophet, if you will. He can set stages anywhere he wants to in the world for how he wants to move the world and use people. I know, and I'm sure many of you know, looking at your own lives, even though, at the times, religion wasn't a part of my life and stuff, I can look back now, it's like when I was a kid in Jersey growing up, pretty much that's, was my world, between New York, Philly, and down the south central Jersey, Arizona and places out west and stuff, in Denver. I mean, Denver, if you'd have told me at certain times in my life there growing up in Jersey, hey, you're going to end up in Denver for a while, you're going to live in Lake Tahoe for a while, you're going to end up in Arizona, these types of things, I'd have been like, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. So even though some of the things that how I got to those places and stuff, and some of the hardships and stuff that I brought upon myself and others, inflicted by others, during those things, I look back now And it's like, you know, I'm not saying I'm more special or anyone's more special than anyone else, and that, you know, I can look at where I believe God interacted in my life, and that puts me on a higher, you know, than any. No, it's not what I'm trying to say, because I believe the point I'm trying to make is some people don't pay attention, and I guarantee you, if you look at your life, you're going to see where he's acted in your life too. Even when you've been way out there going according to what other people would say is the wrong direction, and things like that. And I'll kind of expand on that point there. I know I'm talking a lot about politics, but I need to parlay this into the conversation here for a bit. I don't want to go off on too many tangents, but anyhow, I got to meet a lot of people from around the world and experience things, even though I wasn't aware at the time that were going to benefit me later in life, of having met and known and stuff like that. And there's times in my life, some people will always put it, you know, this way: oh, I fell in with the wrong people and this and that. And there are times, yes, there are people I should not have had friends, but for the most part, a lot of the friends I had were just dummies like me. So to say, oh, I fell in with the wrong people, they can look at me and say, I fell in with that clown, and we were out doing this and that, and we really should have paid more attention to our lives and stuff, you know, and stuff. So there's people can look at me that way, and you know, and that's why, you know, I try not to say that much and take responsibility for my own actions. And you know, going off with the wrong crowd sometimes isn't the best way to put it, because it wasn't necessarily the wrong crowd. It's just that we were all dummies, you know. It was we're all caught up in the same kind of crap that we shouldn't have been doing, wasting our time and money. And so, but I take responsibility. I look back, man, what the hell was I thinking? You know, and in some cases, man, why was I hanging out with that and this and that? And, you know, and it's like, you know what? They can look at me and say the same thing. I was a bad influence on them. So, you know, with the exception of a few cases that, you know, after being friends or so, getting dragged into some bad things, you know, I quickly cut the ties there. I can say, you know, what the hell's, you know, how'd I end up hanging with these people? But anyhow, so the point I'm trying to make is that even though you're unaware of it, God can be directing your steps, because I believe God is all powerful. And even if you don't believe in him, there's things go on in your life all the time that are ordained by him. Now, some people say, oh, what about free will? Yeah, I believe you have a certain amount of free will, but I also believe he's the all-powerful, and we are all created by him, and so he can work within whoever he wants to, whether they're aware of it or not. So I want to give so I was giving the case in point about the founding fathers, whether they knew it or not. I'm not going to put them up there. You know, they were so divinely guided and so enlightened, and hey, they were educated men. You know, classically educated. They knew the wars and this and that, and the things that divided humanity and things like that in Europe and stuff, and you know, so they said to set out, you know, to form a more perfect union, etc. Well, there was slavery. Well, they were slave. That was the time. Man, you can't keep looking back on all that and having that chip on your shoulder forever. You can't. There's a lot of people around the world who do that, and there's places in Europe and in the Middle East where borders were drawn by, you know, the older generations, you know, might still, you know, bring it up, and it's a point of contention, and it gives them power and it gives them voice, because there's people angry about it, so they're going to use that to exalt themselves, and they're going to champion the cause, and etc., whatever. You know, but look at World War II. All right, a lot of hatred for the Japanese. You know, during World War II, right after World War II. But by the time my generation came around, America and Japan are friends. You know, I met Japanese people grown. I didn't have any animosity toward, oh, you bombed Pearl Harbor, you know, whatever. Things like that fade away. Hopefully, eventually, if we work at them and stuff and everything. And it's like, so with slavery and stuff, you know, and there's a lot of people with the chips on their shoulder about slavery and stuff whose relatives and stuff were never enslaved. That Ancestry show, I think it was Keenan Ivory Wayans, one of them, I think. When they had theirs done, you know, they were like, hey, guess what? Your family was never enslaved. They were either they were merchants or entertainers or whatever they were and stuff. He didn't have any slavery roots in it, and he said it kind of put him in kind of a spin. It's because it's like, well, I ain't got that card to play no more, type deal. So anyhow, got to move forward, you know. And you'll hear during these times, you hear all these types of things, you know, African Americans, you know, talking about their bad experiences. You know, they had this or this, they thought this was racist that happened to them, and this and that. Plenty of white people can get up there and tell you about interactions they've had with African Americans where they were doing no wrong, doing nothing, and were attacked, assaulted, stolen from, what have you. I went to school in South Florida for a while, in Lake Worth, and I want to tell you, you know, just the certain members of the African American community there were just thugs, period. Going, you know, they wanted to steal your bike. They started fights on the buses. You know, I told one incident, Cuban kids who came over during the refugee thing and everything on the bus, being pretty much assaulted on the bus because the Cuban kid stuck up for her sister. So everything goes to behavior, personal experience, this and that. You cannot stereotype and put everybody in the one lump thing like Reverend Farrakhan does. You know, Whitey is the enemy. The enemy. That you cannot. And look, there's within the Bible it talks about, you know, the dissembler of the brethren. Now, some people break that down as to their particular religion, their branch of their religion. Some break it down as to their race being broken up, etc., and everything. But it's humanity. Doesn't matter the race, anything like that. If you go to, and this is why I say the Founding Fathers were visionaries or whatever, you can talk about them being divinely guided, whether it was subliminally, they just thought they had these great ideas and truly they were being inspired by God, or they were divinely, they read scriptures and they were divinely inspired and had a great understanding, etc. However you want to slice it up. But anyhow, if you read some of the older prophets, Isaiah and I believe Book of Enoch and stuff, there's parts where the prophets are crying out to God because they're in captivity or whatever, or they're being subjugated and their lives are hard, and they look at these other cultures and these people who have no regard for morality, no anything. They pray to statues, etc., and they're having the good life and having it easy, and the prophet says, we're the ones called by your name. How can you do this to us? We're the ones who believe in you, etc., etc., etc. And God explains to them, you know, look, there's reasons for the things that I do. It's to teach you, etc. And those people, they might have it good now, but in the next life they're not. You know, everyone's going to get their just desserts. have faith and etc. And then there's points, the same prophet later on, when he understands that or believes that the rest of humanity is automatically condemned to hell, pleads for humanity, for those same people who subjugated them. And you can even see at the time of Jesus, when he started going to the Gentiles, the non-Jews and stuff, that was taboo. Hey, what are you doing talking to them for? This and that. Because, and you hear a lot of people talk about Jewish guilt even to this day, because in strict orthodoxy, they're still the chosen ones. Everyone else is quote unquote goyim. And so a lot of them have this, they call it guilt, because the rest of humanity, as far as what they're taught, is pretty much animals, and only they are chosen, and only they are going to be go to heaven, and etc. like that. And then you had the same thing play out when Christianity comes along. I know myself, from when I went from Christianity to Islam, I look back at all the Christians, and and I went to Islam because I understood there was false teachings in the Christianity, and the name it, claim it, every money and power and war, etc., 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 etc. And it's like, wait a minute, you TV preachers, and even some of the organized, and the priests raping boys, and even though the gospel says better to marry than to burn, why are you telling these people they can't be ministers unless they're celibate? Just so many things didn't add up, and I started looking around the world, and when and after 9/11, and I had questions. What do I need? I need to know what to tell my son about life, about religion, etc. And I went on this long, strange journey, spiritual journey, and studying and stuff. So then when I went to Islam, read the Quran, and I understood that, the Quran confirmed a lot of the things that I saw wrong with the world and with people and nations, and pretty much how we were all mad, killing each other and striving for things, whether on a national or personal level, with our nuclear bombs and all that, it's crazy. If you really get down, if you want to follow the teachings of Jesus and the other prophets, and far from it. We're far from. Even though people like to, it's almost xenophobic with America and Zionistic as it is with Israel. Only we're God's chosen, we're God's country, we're, our religion. No, I'm sorry. People around the world, other religions, were just as divinely inspired as those who you look to as the leaders of your religion, of Christianity. Krishna, Buddha, Muhammad, Moses, Jesus. There's only one God. All of humanity is His. The whole earth is His, and everything in it is His. You know that from your Bible. So you think He would leave parts of it in total darkness and not give those people some kind of guidance too? Is just backwards, and I'm guilty of having that backwards way of thinking too when I was a quote-unquote born-again evangelical Christian. So even though the Baha'i faith, and I'll say it again, I am no perfect human being, I am not a representative of the Baha'i faith, but I believe it. I've read and listened on YouTube to the writings of the Bab and Baha'u'llah, not all of them, some of them. And some of them are a reflection of things Christ said, some of them are a reflection of things Muhammad said, and then some of them are new things. So there's a guy, he has videos on YouTube, I'm sorry I forget his name, but it's called Bridging Beliefs, and he's a Baha'i, and he goes into explaining how alien the teachings of Christ and the followers of Christ were to the Jews at the time, that division, that alienation there is no different than at the time of Muhammad. The Christians couldn't follow what he was saying, just like the Jews couldn't follow what the Christians were saying. And then, new revelation, and you go all the way back through all the prophets. The same thing. The prophet comes with a new revelation, and the old school says, no, we already know, no, because their understanding has been skewed. The scholars have been taught wrong, or they've forgotten, whatever it is, or it's about power. They don't want to give up their institutions, etc. Their priesthoods. They don't want to go get real jobs. Whatever it is, they scoff at the new revelation and the teachings and the prophet. And so, and you can look at Hinduism. Same thing happened within the Hindu religion. And then when Buddha came along, he was attacked by the Hindus, etc. Like some kind of apostate. He brought new revelation. Same thing with the Sikh religion. They were attacked. If you don't know the story about that, it's very interesting. I'm sorry I forget the founder's name, and I don't think I could pronounce it anyway. But he was Hindu. His friend was Muslim, and Hindus and Muslims are killing each other at that time in that region of India there. Then he disappeared for 3 days. They thought he drowned in the river. And this is when he was a boy, and he came back and he exclaimed that he was the founder of a religion. So, anyhow, what's all this got to do with politics in the modern day and everything? So, dissembler of the brethren. Dissembler of the brethren can be black, it can be white, it can be Mexican, whoever. And some of them are worse than others. Like, phonies. You look at Joe Biden, he's got the sweater vest and all this, but then you look at the way he talks to people. Hey buddy, let's do push-ups. I'll this and that, and all these types of things and stuff. There's he's either got he's trying to man up and cover up for some kind of inadequacies. He thinks he has to butch up at times or something, or he's a megalomaniac at heart anyway to begin with. And the whole sweater vest thing is just a concealment of it. But I guess I'm getting at the wolves in sheep's clothing. Not that Donald Trump is probably above board on everything, but at least with him, when he talks, he's telling you like it is. This is the way I see it, whatever. Take it or leave it. He's not trying to sell you on something. Anyhow, so the concept of America, look at us, how culturally different, how many we have here and everything like this. And my understanding of the Baha'i faith is nations don't have to give up being who they are, their principles and this and that. We don't all have to be. Humanity needs to get along, respect each other, treat each other good, because we're all divinely created creatures, reflections of our Creator. We should treat each other that way. But it doesn't mean we have to be all homogenized. Not every country in the world has to be like America, and America doesn't have to be like other countries. There doesn't have to be McDonald's globally, but if there is, if people choose that, then, more power to them if they want a McDonald's in their country or whatever. The same, if there's a restaurant chain from Japan or something that starts here or whatever, nothing wrong with that. Trading globally and doing business globally is nothing wrong with that, as long as everything's done fairly and above board, etc. So maybe someday the whole world will, in some aspect, like, I'm not saying like, the architecture in Asia will change and they'll lose their whole culture and their history and stuff. But maybe there'll be more people of other races. I mean, because it's pretty homogenized there still. If you go to Korea, North Korea, China and stuff, pretty much all you're going to see is other North Koreans, other Chinese. You're not going to see blacks. You're not going to see Hindus. You're not going to see, white people from England or wherever. So I'm saying America is unique that way. A lot of Europe is getting unique that way. But the thing is, where the animosity, you got people coming in who starts, no, you got to change. You're evil. You got to, wait a minute. You got a good idea. Hey, we're willing to listen. But you come in here pointing the finger and kicking the dog and telling us we're to blame for everything. And it's like, well, go straighten out your own country first before you come here and try and take over and rearrange our founding principles. So I wanted to get that in there. So maybe someday the whole world, borders will fade away, whatever, and we will understand completely as being one humanity and stuff and everything. And the point I wanted to make about God using or inspiring people, whether they know it or not and stuff, I wanted to get into this with science and technology and AI, so I'll do that on the next one. That he can do things through religion, and he can do them through non-religion. So anyhow, and about him using whatever he wants and things like this. Now, take a person like Ozzy Osbourne. All right, Christian preachers just all had Ozzy Osbourne. Holy mackerel! Look at the song "Crazy Train." That one I can point out because I believe Ozzy wrote that, or had more to do with it. In the days of Black Sabbath, you can look at some of their songs too. I know there's a bunch of really dark stuff or whatever, but if you look at War Pigs, a song like that. But I think Geezer wrote most of the songs in Sabbath, and I think Ozzy didn't really start writing until he left Sabbath. But look at Crazy Train. It starts off crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of billions of people living as foes. And he's got other songs. Don't ask me, I don't know. Things like that. Or you can look Led Zeppelin. Look at Stairway to Heaven. When all are one and one is all. The tune will come to you at last. The piper will lead us to reason. There's a songbird who sings, sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven. That's all of our thoughts are misgiven. You can find that in the Bible. And that's also Baha'u'llah says of the Baha'i faith. What you think is knowledge, you got to write a lot of that off and listen to me. Here's the new revelation. Is what he says, and that can be hard to do. I mean, there was a lot trying to go from Christianity to Islam and grasp and let go of sermons I had ringing in my head and scripture I read and had my own interpretations. It's hard sometimes to learn something new and accept it. But if you seek the truth in it, you'll be able to do that. So now I'm learning new stuff, and I'm trying to let go of other stuff maybe and find reaffirmation of certain things also. I want to learn more and stuff. I mean, I need to read and stuff. There's only so much you can get from YouTube. You actually, my understanding is not everything has been translated yet. So there's also warnings, you can see in the early founding of the Baha'i faith where people were instructed to do certain things because there was a fear of mischief within not teaching things right and stuff. So certain people were appointed and stuff. And that's the same. Jesus warned of people who would pervert his words and take the religion the wrong way. Muhammad warned of the same thing. Moses warned. They all did. Moses said, a lot of you will go astray and God will have to send another prophet. Same thing. And that's what mankind does. It's just general condition of us. And, not condemning all mankind for doing, so it's a constant process and it can be frustrating. But, if you want to learn and you open your heart to, it's there. I mean, there's things I learn all the time, at times when I'm not even expecting to learn something. It'll come, I'll read something, I'm like, I don't know, what is that all about? And then the next day, or sometime, maybe a few days later, this like cross-reference from something else will float through my mind as, Now I get it. Or at least I think I get it. So, you know, there's a lot of people. Hey, I love my country. I love my race. I love other people. There's problems. Humanity will always have problems they have to work out. But there's a lot of people in this country who have to learn where, you know, it's okay to have our nation. It's okay. It's okay to have the 4th of July, be proud of you know, the founding of our nation. All this. But you can't be Zionistic to where we're it and everybody else can, you know, kill them all, let God sort them all out. Can't have that attitude no more. No nation can. It's 2020. Got to move to the future. Yes, there are a lot of things that were done wrong, like Joe Biden, you know, wants to point out, but I think the way he does it is wrong, that have happened in our past. But there's an awful lot of good we've done as a nation. Whether you're black, white, or Mexican, you know, part of, you know, this nation, you've been blessed in a lot of good things this nation has done for its own people and around the world. So anyhow, I'll leave it at that. And I'll get into, you know, like the divinely inspired stuff, whether people know it or not, and how maybe with AI, who knows, it could happen someday. So it's a concept I had. So I'll do that on the next one. We'll call that one 112 instead of going on with the 111 series here. All right, wish you all the best out there. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Adios.